All right, I'm going to show you task sheet 1014, which is oil change today, and I'm not in front of a car because the important thing to know about this particular procedure is not just the steps, but one of the extra things that we do. So first, let me just show you kind of an overview of what it is. The task is perform engine oil filter change, use proper fluid per the manufacturer's spec, reset maintenance reminder as required. It's pretty simple. And this goes through everything you need to do. Research oil capacity, get the oil type, get the quantity that you need, prepare the vehicle for the oil change, open hood, put down fender covers, all this stuff. It's step by step, all the way through an oil change, down to torque specs, old gaskets, everything you need to know. The thing that this doesn't show you is the thing that I add to our oil changes, and that is a vehicle inspection. The vehicle inspection is something that actually most manufacturer or most dealerships have. Every car that comes in the shop, whether it's for an oil change or anything, gets a vehicle inspection. Here we just do them for oil changes. And it's as a part of the oil change, I want to make sure that we do it. It doesn't say to do that on the task sheet, so that's why I'm showing you this list. So the first thing that you should do when you do an oil change is take a look at this sheet. All right, fill out all the information. There's a spot for a VIN number. There's some reminders about placing floor jacks and wearing proper safety equipment. Don't wear jewelry, things like that. Just some standard safety issues. We're going to do a walk around of the vehicle. All right. A lot of times you walk around a car and it's got a ding on the door right here. It's got a cracked windshield right there, or the broken tail light over here. Anything that you see on the car that might look like it's damaged, we want to just indicate on here. That way we know going into the service, if there was an issue with the car, we know that there was something that happened beforehand. The customer's not going to say, hey, you broke the windshield when they go to pick it up, because we can say, okay, look, that windshield is something that was already broken when the car came in. Then we get into the bulk of the inspection. I have this kind of broken down into under hood, under the vehicle, in the cab of the car, and then the tires are down here in the back, on the bottom rather. You're going to operate the instrument panel warning indicator. So you're just going to turn the key to the run position. Just what we call do a prove out. Make sure all the gauges work. Make sure all the lights come on. You're going to record the odometer. What's the odometer? Does it have 247,000 miles or what? How many miles does it have on it? That's important information we're going to need to know for when we look up service procedures a little bit later. Verify that the windshield wipers work. Check the operation of all exterior lights. So you probably have to have a buddy. You turn on the headlights, you turn on the brights, you turn on the brakes, you turn on the turn signals. Somebody standing in front of the car and behind the car to say, yes, they came on. No, they didn't come on. Right? If everything's working, we mark everything as green. If everything looks good, I know this is hard to read, but it says component checked and is okay. Yellow, component will require service soon, and component requires immediate service. Something like lights, they either work or they don't work. You're never going to find anything in the middle with lights, right? But they either work or they don't work. However, as I get down here, DTAC electrical system test, that's battery starting charging systems. It's possible for me to have a low battery that still passes a load test, right? Or just barely passes a load test. And if I get that, maybe then I replace, all right, this component is going to need some service soon. However, maybe not absolutely right now. Check transmission fluid. It's in good condition. The oil's full. Brake fluid's okay. All other hydraulic fluids, are coolant, all this stuff. I can just run down the list, say, yes, all this stuff's okay. Obviously, if I'm inspecting it. All right. One thing that I want to make a note about is if let's say that our air filter was bad. So not that one. It's actually, I go to do an inspection and I find that the air filter is bad. A lot of my students get to that point, they find a bad air filter and they immediately come to us and say, I got to replace the air filter. let's keep going. Okay. I want you to keep going, and I want you to fill out this list completely, and it'll make sense here in a little bit. So I go under hood. I'm going to look, I'm under the vehicle. So I lift the vehicle up in the air. I'm inspecting the coolant system, the leaks. Maybe there's a little bit of some wet spots. There's some wet spots for oil. Car's got almost 250,000 miles on it, so the bottom is probably not dry. Look up trans fluid leaking. Maybe the differential housing has got some oil around it. It's just dirty. That's pretty standard. Not necessarily bad. Definitely not good, but it's an old car. It's just something the customer might want to know about. So brake lines, everything's good. Pitman arm, center link, idler arm. What if the vehicle has a rack and pinion system and it doesn't have any of this stuff? We just cross it off. Or write NA. Okay. Tie rods, tie rod ends. Let's say everything's good. Control arms are good. Track bars are good. Upper and lower ball joints. Again, if it doesn't have it, then you just write not applicable or cross it off or whatever. Springs are good. Shocks are good. Front wheel bearings. As we were spinning the front wheel bearings, we noticed that they were starting to grind. Okay. That's bad. That might not be something that the customer came in to talk about or they wanted done, but it's just something that we say, this is definitely bad. It's time to replace this, and let them make the decision. Then we get into the tires: left front, left rear, right rear. Tread depth. We have a tread depth gauge that's actually green, yellow, and red, and it's 30 seconds, 6 seconds, 30 seconds of an inch. That gives you these measurements right here, and I'll show you that when we get out into the shop. Tire pressure. What was the tire pressure? It was 31 psi. If it was, let's say it was 32 psi here. Let's say the left rear was maybe 19 psi, and the right rear was also 32. What's it supposed to be? Well, if it's supposed to be 32, that one means maybe we've got a leak. Maybe there's a screw in there or something. If we look a little bit closer and we find that there's a screw in the tread. Okay. And then we can look for wear patterns and things like that. We can, brake lining, good. Let's say everything's good. Let's say everything else looks good. Okay. So now I've got this inspection sheet. Now I go to start the oil change. Okay. As part of the oil change, one of the things you're going to have to do is get some parts. So we have these purchase request forms in the shop. Your name goes here. The vehicle, what vehicle are we working on? This is a 2001 Dodge Neon, 01 Dodge Neon. VIN number should be here. If you find information on here that's not here, go ahead and fill it in. Also fill it in here. Also a spot to fill it in right here. So what do you want? Well, I need oil. How much oil do you need? All right, one of the steps in the service process here is to look up the quantities right here, right? List the type of oil, including API rating, list the proper amount. So this is all stuff that you're going to have to look up and you're going to have to figure out. So let's just say I need 10W30 and I need 5 quarts of it. What else do you need for an oil change? You need an oil filter. There's going to be a part number. It's going to be a P2743 or whatever the part number is. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll have parts that we look up in a parts book. You're going to have to look that up. And then let's say we need an air filter as well. Air filter. Remember back here, we decided that air filter was bad. Here's the moment where we get one. All right, so you're going to look up the part number for that. Let's say it's AF4255. I don't know. I'm just making up numbers. I don't know if that's what it is or not. But front wheel bearing. We're going to do wheel bearings too. Wheel bearing. Some of this gets kind of specific when you start to order parts for the car. We'll call around and find different parts. So it's I'm not going to ask you to look up a part number, because we might call Napa, we might call AutoZone, we might call O'Reilly's, we might call the manufacturer. Who knows where we're going to get that from? We get all our oil filters from the same place. That's why you can get these numbers. And then there was a screw in the thread of the tire. Well, that's something else that we just need to worry about. There's nothing that we have to buy. We're not going to get a new tire because of that. Okay. You describe why the request was being made. Why are you doing this? Doing an oil change. LOF, lube oil filter, is standard abbreviation for an oil change, and found other issues while doing the inspection. All right. Then you take it to me. I will do this. Then you take it to Mr. Montella. He will place the order and get the parts for you. All right. That is it. I realized there was no car. There was no demonstration that involved the vehicle today. But I didn't think that was necessary, because the point of this activity here is to show you these papers right here. So I expect everybody to be doing this stuff when you do your oil changes. We need to keep a record of all this. And that's it. That's it for today. Thank you very much.